What's going on, brothers and sisters? I want to welcome you guys to Listener Feedback, episode 36. And in this episode, we will be reading emails from Cody Clark. Yes, sir. Thank you again for writing back into the show, my brother. It is greatly appreciated. We also will be reading emails, or at least one email as well, from Crimson Phoenix. Yes, indeed. I want to thank both of you brothers for writing in, Crimson Phoenix. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, because if y'all hadn't written in, this show would not have happened. But what I do want to say before we get started into you guys' emails, if you do want to be a part of the next listener feedback, you can do it two different ways. You can either email the show, and the email address is simply the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Or if you would rather call in and literally let your voice be heard, you can do that by calling in at 443-380-0281. So without further ado, let's get into the first email, which comes to us from Mr. Cody Clark, which I believe this is a bit of an update to an email that he sent in last week. So the title of his email is Warranty D's Control. I like to play on words right there. You know, sometimes they say D's. Well, I ain't gonna say it. Anyway, here we go, Cody. Let's get into your email. He says, all of the Xbox Elite controllers had 90-day base warranties. The first Elite controllers I got, both, well, you said bot? Maybe you meant both, with 1 year extended through Walmart, and used them both. Both the new controllers that Walmart sent me died. Dag! So you got two controllers, both with 1 year extended warranties through Walmart, and they both got killed. That is a huge problem. Usually at least one of the two of something usually survives, but just the fact that both of them actually died, that says a whole lot. And matter of fact, if you guys aren't aware, that might not have heard the last listener feedback episode, I was asking Cody in the email, he had brought up some of his Elite controllers and the problems that he had been having with them, but he did say in the end that he still does have his original Xbox 360 controller, which continues to kick and move on, that has not died. So I was asking him, when he was having these troubles with these controllers, with the Elite controllers, did Xbox give him any replacements? Did they have a warranty? Did they give him some controllers for free? So this is the follow-up email to that, just to put you guys in the loop that might not have listened to the last episode. So he continues on and says the second batch of Elite 2s had 90-day through Microsoft and 1 year through Target. And it took an inch. It took an inch. I'm sure I'm reading that wrong, Cody, but bear with me, brother. He says it took an inch, and he put in parentheses, Lord of the Rings ref, to get them their warranty claims. And the comp Target used didn't get new ones, but quote, fixed source controllers, and they were busted within 2 months. So if I'm reading this right, Cody, and of course, man, you can hit me up and tell me if I'm understanding this correctly or not. It seems like that warranty, you tried to actually cash that in and have Target do what they said they were going to do with the warranty, but instead of them actually giving you new controllers, or even trying to fix the ones that you had sent in, it looks like they gave you two other controllers that were already broken, and they fixed those and gave them to you, if I'm understanding that correctly. He says, let me see. He says to get them their warranty claims. And it seems like they gave you a very hard time about it as well. So they didn't really want to, that's the thing. Just on a side note, have you ever wondered that when you get insurance for your car, you get insurance for your home, or insurance on certain properties that you may have, whether it be, a house or specific, insurance, like let's say artwork or something that has some kind of value, that when you go to cash that in, when you call them up and tell them, look, I need you to, pretty much compensate me or give me what I, should be getting for this, they always give you a hard time. And not only do they give you a hard time, and they start sending you through all of these loopholes and things that they never mentioned were going to be a problem. They also, after they do all of that, then they want to raise your rate. You could have had insurance with this company, and it doesn't matter what company it is, because this happened to me several times. Well, not several, but maybe at least once. It's happened to me where I had been with this company for years, didn't have any problems, needed them to compensate me for something that did happen that was out of my control. And matter of fact, they dropped me off of one claim. They said, look, we can't do this anymore. This is too much. We got to drop you. I'm like, yeah, dog, off of one claim, you guys dropped me. And then because they had dropped me, of course, the insurance went up the next time that I got an insurance. So this thing is all a racket to a certain degree. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have went through the same thing, or if your car gets busted, you're looking for them to give you the money that you're supposed to be compensated, and they start sending you through all of these loops and stuff. It just seems like, Cody, that's the same thing that they were trying to do to you, or do to you at Target. So let me finish with your email here, brother. Continue on with your email. He says, Target. Let me see. Okay. The warranty claims and the comp Target used didn't get new ones, but, quote, fixed source controllers, and they were busted within 2 months. So, yeah, they fixed them. Looks like they might have fixed your controller, but it busted within 2 months again. It says, you wrote Goose had one that had an issue. Shout out to Goose, by the way. But, he says Goose had one that had an issue too, and I had to fight to get him the info to have him be able to send it in for repair. No idea if he did or not. Goose, if you hear this, let us know, man, if you actually sent your controller in to get it fixed and what happened with that, brother. I'm going to continue on with your email here, though, Cody. You say Microsoft stated that after 90 days, we are on our own. And pardon me, you guys might hear my sump pump going off again. We got some rain the other day, so excuse that background noise. But golly, this is just crazy to me. You spend all of this money on these controllers. They give you 90 days, and Microsoft's like, hey, that's all we can give you. Have a good day. Enjoy your broke controller. God darn. He says they used to use Halifax sensors. I don't know what that is, Cody. You have to let me know what a Halifax sensor is. But he says they used to use Halifax sensors for analog controllers. They used magnets, not a disc, with carbon on it as a potentiometer, tentimeter. Man, pardon me. I'm gonna continue on with that one. Man, that's a heck of a word right there, though, Cody. Potentiometer, pentento. Hey, what is this? Hey, Cody, I'm gonna continue with your email here, brother. This potentiometer situation thing's going on right here. He said, so they would last longer. He says, but as happens to Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox using a $1 Halifax versus a 10-cent carbon disc, you can tell which way so they used the cheaper one, probably the 10-cent joint. Man, how crazy is this? How crazy is this? This controller is supposed to be, quote, elite, which means that it is supposed to be of a higher quality. And if I'm understanding your email, I definitely didn't understand that one word you're throwing there, Cody. Got pardon me for that one. Man, public school education, brother, in Baltimore. But the thing is, man, if I'm understanding you correctly, you are saying that even in this high-end controller, this Halifax thing, they could have used the dollar one versus 10 cents. I know that's, you just saying that maybe not necessarily the exact price, but you're saying they used one that could have cost them maybe $3 or $4 to put into the controller versus getting one that costs 25 cents, as it were, just to save costs on a controller that they are selling for a premium price. This is absolutely insanity. And I say it's insane because we're always taught that when you buy something of higher quality, something that is higher value, that we've heard it time and time again. You get what you pay for. So I would imagine $150 controller, you should be good with this thing for at least the next 5 or 10 years. Because just like you, Cody, I've had my Xbox 360 controller never break on me. Doggone, my 360 broke on me before my controller broke on me. And I still have my Xbox One controller that has never given me any problems. But yet this controller that is a premium controller at $150+ I even think they got some of them that are going for $200. You mean to tell me that I can't get at least 5 to 7 years out of this controller before it breaks? Cody said that he got one back, the one from Target, and they fixed it and it broke on them within 2 months. And they didn't even want to do that. Target. God darn. Let me finish up your email here, Cody. You say, I think there are a few boutique controller makers that are going back to Halifax sensors, but I can't tell. But no, Microsoft has not comped me or apologized to me in any way. They just say the manufacturer's warranty is 90 days, and that is what they stick by. Dag, Cody, I ain't going to do fake outrage. I don't want you to think that I'm doing all of this. Oh man, Cody, this is terrible. And it's like fake outrage. It's not. It's just, it really baffles me sometimes that these companies that have the money, this is not a startup company. This is Microsoft selling a premium controller, and they are advertising it as such. But yet they give you this 90-day warranty. You get these other warranties from these other places. They halfway don't want to do what they're supposed to do on their part. But we've seen that forever in anything that happens with a warranty. Usually it's not as easy as they make it out to be, to either get your money back or to get that certain product fixed or replaced. And that doesn't make it right. But I would just think that Microsoft would have a little bit more pride in this, especially when you go back to the 360 days. Back then, I know you had to pay for, I believe, shipping or, something like that, but they compensated you for the messed up console. Now, to me, I would think that the controller is a lot cheaper to compensate somebody for versus a console. So you mean to tell me back then in the 360 era, you had all of these 360s that were breaking. It was a known problem. This wasn't a isolated incident. Everybody knew about it. And they said, okay, let's do the right thing by the people. But all of these hundreds of different controllers that y'all sell, that people at one point in time said, and it was true, you had more controllers releasing than you had games releasing at one point in time. And today it's still not, that's a little better. I ain't gonna say too much. But here it is. You have this controller. Everybody knows that these controllers have problems, but yet you're just going to say, look, the 90 days is what we're going to give you. After that, good luck. That's terrible, Cody, man. I'm just really, sorry for you, brother, for, having to deal with such terrible customer service, man, for a product that's supposed to be premium, and they're pretty much not standing on their word. Even with certain vehicles, I know, and of course, I've never had any of these vehicles. Way too expensive for me, brothers. But even with certain vehicles, they'll have you bring them in and they'll do the oil changes or something for at least a certain amount of months, just to, kind of get you started, because you paid so much money for the vehicle. I would have just thought that something would have been kind of in the cards for a controller that costs this much money. But Cody, I just want to thank you again, brother, for sharing your story with not only me, but everybody else here that listens to the feedback episodes. I greatly appreciate you, Cody. And again, man, please continue to write in. I just think it's terrible though that they didn't compensate you for this, Cody. But hopefully, man, I don't even know what a positive thing would be to say about this, Cody. Hopefully these next controllers are better, and that if you do decide to spend your money on them, then maybe you'll get a better, I guess a much better outcome when it comes to that. I'm sorry, man. You know what? I don't know why I'm hung up on this, man. I don't know why I'm, hung up on this situation. You hear about Phil Spencer being out there on Twitter. You hear about Aaron Greenberg, all of these guys always out there talking, interacting with the fans and all of this stuff. I've heard them actually compensating people at times for a controller that might have went out of stock or something like that. I would say reach out to these guys personally, Cody Clark, and just see what they would be able to do for you. I know it's a super long shot. I fully understand that. But, hey, maybe this episode even will reach somebody over there or somebody, because you guys know this is such a small podcast with such a, very, very limited amount of people that listen. But who knows? You never know who's listening. So if anybody out there can do something to compensate my guy, Cody Clark, please do so. But Cody, I'm going to move on. And as always, brother, again, I truly thank you for writing in and sharing your story. So up next on the docket, we have Mr. Crimson Phoenix making another triumphant return to the show. So here we go. Now, the title of his email is, and just to give you guys some context about this, I was asking in last week's episode if Day and Date went away in Game Pass, would you still stay subscribed? So this is Mr. Crimson Phoenix, his response. He says, now the title of his email is Short Answer, No. He's not unsubscribing. Let's get into it, Crimson. He says, short explanation. Come on. He says, come on. Are we not used to waiting for the games to come to Xbox? I hear you on that. I see the double entendre right there. Everybody has said for years, Xbox has no games. So I like this. I like the way you started this, Crimson. Let me rewind and re-say that again. I like that line, brother. He says, come on. Are we not used to waiting for the games to come to Xbox? Oh man. He says reasons currently existing. He says, number one, Sony money hatting. And number two, delays. Oh my gracious. He says, for me, value is still king, even if waiting gets a bit longer. And he put in parentheses, as laughable as it sounds. And if rumors are true, I'll be on PC where the games I love to play will live on, including PlayStation games. Oh, I see the way you threw that shot there. Ouch. Oh, that hurts. He says, so in truth, I guess it just doesn't bother me. I don't suffer from FOMO and never have. I have a new gaming laptop with a 3060 and i7 and 32 gigabytes of RAM. It can currently run the games better than my console. Oh, man. A 3060, pardon me, you say, brother. Wow. He says, I also have the Meta Quest 3, so I'm not really missing out on much. Oh, man. Yeah, man, well, let me borrow $5, Crimson Phoenix. You got a lot going on there, brother. Of course, I'm joking, Crimson. I'm just playing, man. He says, good show as always. Keep it coming, Crimson Phoenix. Crimson Phoenix. Hey, man, yo, I like this, brother. I like this. Oh, shucks. This brother said, man, come on, man. We've been waiting on Xbox games since 87. God darn. But Crimson, I get it, man. Look, you said, look, it's always the value for you. Even if you got to wait for these games that normally would have showed up on day one, if you got to wait 6 months to a year for those games to come onto the service, then that is fine. You can wait. And the thing is, though, Crimson, now this is the thing that, I mean, it's still a thing. If you don't want to wait, and it's a game that you really do want to play right now, today, if this situation is to be believed that maybe that day and date is going away, you can always go out there and pay for the game if you want to, instead of waiting for it to come to the service. So again, options, which are a very, very good thing to have. Man, this brother, I saw how you stunned on us though a little bit there, Crimson, with your laptop, brother, your gaming laptop with a 3060. You hear how he said his games on that can currently run better on his laptop than on his doggone car. So I saw the shot, bang, bang. Oh, man, I get it, though, brother. I get it. PC gaming is not for me, my brother. But for you, I know you're absolutely correct, man. 3060, that's a pretty powerful card, man, graphics card. I know that, I think according to, who's it, Digital Foundry, I think they said that the PS5 is running around in the 2080 kind of range, somewhere around that 2070 or 2080. Somewhere around there, which, man, for me, man, those graphics that I see on the PS5, God dog, Jokers look sensational. But as Crimson said, though, man, he's willing to wait. It's not a big deal for him. He doesn't get FOMO. So it's not like he's, just that fear of missing out on whatever game is out there. He says, hey, when it comes to the service, I'll play it. And I mean, I know you didn't say this, Crimson Phoenix, but I'm sure that, again, like I said just a couple of seconds ago, if it is one of those games that you do want to play and it's not in the service, you'll just go out there and spend the money, get it, and play it when you get ready. Pardon me, y'all. Excuse me. So I definitely hear you, man. Crimson, I want to thank you for this email, man, and thank you for your kind words about, having a good show, brother. I greatly, greatly appreciate that, man. It's very kind of you to say that, man. So thank you. And I would say that for me, I mean, I've said it before, Game Pass really isn't for me. But if I was in the ecosystem, if that was something, because you guys know I don't even have a Series X right now or S. But depending on what happens, let me wrap this up real quick before I get into that. But the thing that I would say though is, man, what was I saying? I'm saying a whole bunch of nothing, as a matter of fact. Well, listen, this is what I'll say. If I was in the service, yeah, that's what I was going to say. If I was in the service, I would probably still keep it as well. I know some people will probably walk from the service just because it wasn't what Microsoft had actually originally advertised it to be, that was going to be the service. And now that they maybe possibly, because it's not a full-blown conclusion that is happening, it's just a couple of breadcrumbs out there that are leading to the possibility of this happening, where the games won't be day and date. But I do know that some people will say, well, look, they lied to me. I mean, hey, they wouldn't be lying, if they felt like they lied to them. But we all know, to be fair, things do change. Different philosophies change over time. And, this may be something that may go away, but it is a fantastic service for what it is. Even though, it's not for me, having hundreds upon hundreds of games to choose from. I mean, doggone, I can't imagine teenage Kiaun having that much access to that many different games at one point in time. Golly, would have been phenomenal. I wouldn't have been beating nothing. I'd have just been jumping from game to game to game to game to game. I probably would have rarely beat a game because there would be so many different options to choose from. But the fact of the matter is, there is no better service when it comes to gaming. Having that many options for that much a month, it's a phenomenal service though. So hopefully most people will stay subscribed because it is part of their ecosystem now. It's part of their philosophy. They're looking at the numbers to try to put them into a certain position that they're looking to be in. But I am quite sure that there will be, even if it's a semi-mass exodus from players that are subscribed to Game Pass. But only time will tell. But Crimson Phoenix, again, thank you for the email, my good brother. So before we officially get out of here, though, it's just two stories that I want to cover before we go. So like I mentioned, talked about Phil Spencer. We were talking about Xbox, talking about Game Pass, talking about them broke old elite controllers that they be giving to people, selling them. Shout out to you again, Cody. But we do know that tomorrow is a big day. So this story I got from Polygon. Now, it's been an update on the state of Xbox, on the state of Xbox. It has been announced and it will be taking place. This is the event that's happening tomorrow. It's going to be taking place on February 15th, which is tomorrow, Thursday, February 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, the discussion will include Microsoft's gaming CEO, Phil Spencer, who, of course, is the CEO of gaming. You'll have Xbox President Sarah Bond and head of Xbox Studios, Matt Booty. Now, this sit down is going to take place in the form of a podcast, which they are calling, quote, special edition of the official Xbox podcast, end of quote. Now, you will be able to watch this on YouTube. So I'm taking it that this is not going to be a live event. This is probably going to be pre-recorded. They're probably working on it right now or have already worked on it as we're speaking at this moment. So I find this very interesting, though, that they are going with a podcast setting. That's very interesting, for one. And two, I thought it was extremely interesting that like three of the most important pillars inside of Xbox will be on this podcast, each one having an extreme major role inside of Xbox. So I was kind of glad to hear that Satya Nadella wasn't going to be at this event, because then it would have just been strictly business. And I know that this is going to be more so a business podcast talking about the future of Xbox. But with those three being in the room, and I'm sure they'll have some kind of mediator there in between the three of them talking. This is just this just makes me a little bit more interested in what and where the direction of the conversation is actually going to go, because tomorrow is going to decide a lot of things for a lot of Xbox players. You know, whether or not they're going to ditch their Xbox consoles for good and just pick up a PlayStation 5, whether or not people are going to stay committed to the brand. I'm not going to say it's a lot riding on tomorrow, but it's a good little bit at least. I'll say this. Tomorrow is important for the Xbox community. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes about that. This is a very important situation tomorrow. And if they say, and this is what I am going to predict, and I'm terrible at predictions. I'm absolutely the worst at it. But if I had to take a stab at this and say, what are they going to announce tomorrow? I would say that there are going to be some games that will be released on the PlayStation 5. Now, granted, what games are they going to be? I'm not sure. Maybe Hi-Fi Rush, probably. But I do have a feeling that possibly Blade may be mentioned. Now, I know that that game is years away. It would do them no good to announce that tomorrow. But then again, it could do them a little bit of good because people will say if they string people along this whole time that Blade is being worked on, and at the last moment they say, oh, yeah, it's coming to PlayStation as well. Darn, people are going to be mad. Because they're going to be like, well, I was under the impression that it was an Xbox exclusive, even though they never said it was going to be an Xbox exclusive. So I think that that would be just a little bit more betrayal for some people, that even though it's kind of not fair to Xbox, to catch that kind of backlash, but it is underhanded. If you know it's not exclusive, just come out and say, well, it's going to other platforms. So I think that that would be a good move for them to do. Get it out there, get it out the way, because we saw what happened with Redfall when they said all the time, that whole time leading up to the game releasing, it's going to be 60 frames per second. Then all of a sudden you get to the finish line. Oh, by the way, it's 30 frames. I'm sorry. No, it doesn't work. So they got to be concise tomorrow. Tell everybody what's happening, word for word, no fluff, no corporate speak, which I'm sure it's going to be a ton of it there. But I would just hope that they would be straight up with the Xbox community and tell them exactly what their plans are going to be. These type of games are going to PlayStation because, mark my words, something is going to PlayStation, something. I don't know if it's Starfield. That's kind of been taken off the table, but we still haven't heard that Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves are being taken off the table. I haven't heard anything about that yet. So we will see what happens with this event. Remember, tomorrow, if you're on my time, East Coast time, 3 p.m. But if you're over on the West Coast or in the Pacific time zone, remember golly, I'm all mixed up. All right. 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 12 o'clock Pacific. All right, let's move on from there. And I got one more story here. Now, this is about the Final Fantasy VII demo. Square Enix has said an update is coming to the demo. Quote, they said, the update to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo scheduled for February 21st will apply improvements to the visual quality when selecting performance from the graphics option. The same improvements will also be applied to the full game. End of quote. So if any of you guys like myself have played through the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo and wanted to know what was going on with the visuals, they are going to be making improvements on the 21st of February, and those improvements are going to apply to the full game. So if you want to get a good understanding of what you're going to be playing when it comes to the final version of Rebirth, then boot up the demo, and after the 21st or by the 21st of February, you'll be able to get that full understanding on what you'll be getting yourself into. Me, when I played it, I thought it looked fantastic. I was very impressed with the visuals, the gameplay. I enjoyed it. I thought they did a really, really good job. So, this also shows that these guys are trying to sell the heck out of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have never heard of a company giving an update to a demo. These guys are committed. They are trying to sell as many copies as possible of this game. Hopefully they'll be able to do so. We know that their philosophy in gaming is changing. They're trying to make less titles, but concentrate on the quality of the title instead of the quantity, which is always the best way to do things. So hopefully with this game, they will sell enough copies. I really, really hope so. I'm looking forward to this game. Will I be picking it up day one? Absolutely not. I'm kind of like with Crimson on that. Crimson Phoenix. FOMO isn't really something that I really suffer from too much. It would have to be, a heck of a game that I really, really want to play. Something like GTA 6 or better yet, Star Wars Outlaws. You guys know I've said that time and time again. That is one of my most anticipated games, if not my most anticipated game of this year. So when that drops, that is a day one purchase for me. I'm dropping everything else to play that game. So, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that is not quite, that game doesn't hold that much weight for me, even though I was a huge fan of the original, and I absolutely love the direction that they have gone in with the remake by making it so you can actually play and have the combat happen in real time. You no longer have to use the turn-based system, which is incredible for somebody like me. But anyway, that is going to do it for listener feedback, episode number 36. And we are actually at 36 minutes and 30 seconds right now. But if you do want to be a part of the next episode of listener feedback, which we'll probably record it, well, it depends on y'all. Like I said, you guys run this show. So depending on if you guys write in again next week, that'll determine if we do another show. But if you want to write in and be a part of the next episode, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in, and the phone number is simply 443-380-0281. Let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. One more time, I gotta shout out Cody Clark and Mr. Crimson Phoenix. Thank y'all. Thank y'all again, man. So with that being said, we'll be back on Sunday to talk about the gaming news that went down during the course of the weekend. Oh, man. Y'all know we going to go over this Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty situation in full detail when it happens. Can't wait to see what happens with that.
So I'm going to try to be as clear as I can, because that's what I just think it's fair. So obviously I can't sit here and say every Bethesda game is exclusive, because we know that's not true. There's contractual obligations that we're going to see through, as we always do in every one of these instances. We have games that exist on other platforms, and we're going to go support those games on the platforms they're on. There's communities of players. We love those communities, and we'll continue to invest in them. And even in the future, there might be things that have either contractual things or legacy on different platforms that we'll go do. But if we're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building, and the creative capability we will be able to bring to market for our Xbox customers. It is going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox after we're done here.